So we might have these conversations after our read aloud and have them, and they're called grand conversations, where we might be focused on a text or a book that we've just read together as a class, and we want to discuss the important information that has just taken place during that section of reading. So it's important for us to know how all participants are going to add to that conversation to keep the momentum of the conversation focused on the book, but also that we can continue to add on to our understanding and how we analyze our characters, and we start making predictions about how we think they might act in the future. So we're going to start by looking at how can we have an accountable talking stem if we make a statement. So I'm going to add 2 to my list, and these are not the only 2, these are just 2 that we might use. So if we want to make a statement, we might say, I think, and then add what our thoughts are. And another stem could be, my favorite part was, ... So these are only 2 of so many different choices that you can make, but these are just some examples of how I could begin making a statement when having a grand conversation with my class. A way to make a connection, we might start by saying, that part reminds me of, and then you can tell us about the connection that you've made to that part of a book. Or we might say, this part is similar to, and we might make a connection to a previous part of the book that the author has given us. It might be a connection to something in a similar book that you've read, or something to your own life. Accountable talking stems for when we want to ask a question. We might start by saying, what did you think about the part? And then you tell us specifically what part you're referring to in your question. So we could have said, what did you think about the part of the book when Bradley acted? And then you could tell us what he did in that particular section. Another stem that you could use when you're asking a question is, why do you think the author ... So you could be asking us why you think the author created the character to act this way, or why do you think that they had this specific problem or conflict between characters. This is our way to analyze the author's intent for providing the information that they're providing. When we want to ask for clarification from someone else that's speaking during those grand conversations, we might have to ask a classmate, what did you mean by? And then this is where you would want to restate something that they've said. You might ask them, can you help me understand? And this is just basically asking for clarification. So for someone else to continue to share their thinking, to make it where you're able to understand their point of view or their thought process of saying the information that they're saying. We oftentimes have agreements or disagreements about information that we share about a character or how we feel about a circumstance. So we want to make sure that we're being respectful, but we're also free to share our own thinking and not always have to agree with what's said already. So we're going to say, I agree, / this could also be where you say, I disagree with you because... ... You could say instead, I have the same, but this is also where you could have said, I have the different, or I have a different thoughts because ... So it's okay to disagree. We just make sure that we're doing it in a respectful way. And the last way that we're going to mention today is how would we be able to have accountable talk when we're referring to the text? So being specific with that text evidence. So we might start that particular part of our conversation by saying, I noticed on page... And then you would give the rest of your classmates a page number to refer to. So it could be talking about a picture, an illustration, maybe a specific quote, or some sort of action that's happening that you want everyone to refer back to so you can give your thoughts about what's happening there. You could also say, according to the text. And this is, once again, helping us know that you are going to be specific in your reference of what you're about to share. So we have just listed some of our accountable talking stems that you could use as a reader when you're asked to share your thinking about a book, to make a statement, make connections, ask a question, clarification, show your agreement or disagreement, and then how can we do that by referring to the text. And the last page on the right, this is our accountable talk bookmark. So these are just more examples of how you can start a conversation about a text. So you can read through these statements and use them when we start talking about our read aloud books together.